I will say that Bernie Sanders gave a
You guys are crazy!
You're an animal! Get a job!
To say something like that to myself and all of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay, but it's okay, right?
That is not how it goes.
It's okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold
Washington,
myself
D.C.
accountable.
Washington,
Hold
D.C.
your
out
own
of your
self
mouth.
accountable. How
Keep
about
it out of
that?
your mouth.
Hold your own
I'm
self
trying,
accountable.
Mr.
How about
What you just witnessed is a textbook example of how the left operates, from the streets to the halls of Congress. On one side, you had Rashida Clay, a protester being physically removed from a Capitol demonstration, screaming at the top of her lungs. On the other, you have Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib standing on a taxpayer-funded podium, screaming at her colleagues and labeling them fascists. The behavior? Exactly the same. The venue changed, that's all. This isn't debate. This is hysteria masquerading as politics. Emotion and radical talking points over facts and reality. And when someone like this starts shaping policy from fantasy instead of truth, someone has to step in with a reality check. Enter Representative Byron Donalds. In the clip you're about to see, Tlaib paints her version of America, a world straight out of her radical imagination. Donalds calmly dismantles it point by point with cold, hard facts. No yelling, no theatrics, just evidence, logic, and accountability. He's got the receipts. She's got a script and a list of names to hurl to S.O. Stay tuned for the full breakdown. If you're ready to see facts prevail over fantasy, hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up. This is one exchange you don't want to miss.
You know, I think it's also really important to understand, like, the incredible kind of slanderous, like, defamation. I don't know what to call it. They're just burying Washington, D.C. You just heard them speak about our nation's capital in that way. In a way that I feel very much like that's not what I see. I see people walking around with their families, people enjoying time to see these beautiful, incredible, beautiful monuments and everything. And there's a pride here too. And so I just want to bring the DC residents into this committee because I feel like they are being made invisible. And this really ugly picture that is not reflective. And I'm from Detroit. I've seen it happen to my city, and it's despicable in a way that I feel like really goes up against our values. You know, one of the things that I know in every abuse of power that we let President Trump and the administration get away with in D.C., it will be replicated. It will be expanded across the country, and it is going to tear apart our communities. You know, Mr. Jackson, I talked to you about a little bit about this, but I think it's important to understand that we do have a mental health crisis, that we have a housing crisis, affordability crisis. Can you police any of those away?
No.
You can't police away homelessness. And the way they talk about our homeless neighbors is no wonder there's violence increasing towards homeless neighbors. I see it already, the brutality of it. When we see housing costs go up, when we see, again, the lack or dismissiveness of the mental health crisis that we continue to grow in. And it's not just this administration, and the previous administrations as well. No one has moved with the urgency that is needed. Just last week, the committee approved over a dozen bills regarding Washington, D.C. And, I'm just curious. Criminalized children. My colleague from Boston talked about this. It basically interfered with legislation already passed by the local government. Was anyone on this panel consulted? Any of you? Raise your hand if you were consulted on any of these bills. Yeah.
We were not.
One of the things that, AG, I've been listening to you. One of the bills actually eliminates your position completely. What effect would that have? Completely eliminating your position in regards to be able to do the job that you do to protecting all the families in Washington, D.C.?
We'll start with the fact that more than 70% of the residents of the District of Columbia overwhelmingly voted for having an independent elected Attorney General.
That's right.
And that's a recognition of the fact that when an Attorney General is directly accountable to the people, directly responsive to the people, we are much better at doing our job in terms of addressing housing affordability and conditions in slumlords. seniors and consumers who are being scammed, addressing the issues that are most important to DC residents, because I am accountable to
I read
them.
wage theft is an issue, workplace discrimination. I mean, there's a number of issues that need to be addressed, and they're not going to address that. They want to paint you all as this ugly, dark, all just out in the street. I mean, the way, it's just unbelievable because they all live here. I don't see it. I don't see what they see. I don't understand why we're allowing that to happen, because I actually think it's going to hurt our communities. People are going to look at Washington, D.C. folks in a way that I think is going to be very painful, but also, you know, I don't know, Mr. Jackson, I heard the stories. People didn't leave their homes. They weren't leaving their homes. Businesses didn't see people coming into, I mean, that's what we want in our nation's capital. Stay in your house. Don't move. Don't go anywhere. Stay fearful. It's unbelievable that my colleagues continue again to eject this narrative and this rhetoric in regards to it. But I think it's important, Mr. Chair, just like in DC, home rule was won out of Black freedom struggle in the fight for civil rights. We can't be passive right now. So nobody over there should take anything we say like so personally, as if we're attacking them. No, we're attacking a process. We're not attacking people here. And I think it's really important. We need to stand up against this fascist takeover. That's not a bad word. It's a fact. And here in DC and across the country, it is so incredibly important, Mr. Chair, that this committee does not allow rhetoric that defames and or paints Washington, D.C. in a way that you all haven't really truly seen. You're just reading it. No, you're just reading it or something off of some.
Will the gentlelady yield to a question?
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Will the gentlelady
No, I don't
yield?
yield. I don't even have time. I can tell you.
Your time's expired.
It is expired, but
Ms.
Mr.
Tlaib,
Chair, but you all live
like
here,
Mr.
and
Tlaib.
you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our
Mr.
nation's
Tlaib.
capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think
Wrong.
it's insane that the
But you're
gentlelady
gonna
doesn't
look
have
at
an
American
argument, but she's going to
Washington, D.C. as a
refer
bunch
to
of
me and some of my
criminals.
You yield to
colleagues.
Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Donald.
We were from
you
the
know
Third
this.
Reich. This is
You're gonna
insane.
look at
It's
14,
insane.
15-year-olds as
It's
a bunch of
insane.
criminals?
It's insane.
Oh,
Do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you, Ms. Tlaib? Is that what I look like to you?
You're the one taking your voting
Is that what you think?
Giving it
Is that
to
what you
somebody.
think?
Giving
Is
it
that
to
what you
cops.
think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it
It's
goes.
okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold
Washington,
myself
D.C.
accountable.
Mr. Tlaib.
Washington, D.C.
Hold your
out
own
of your
self
mouth.
accountable. How
Keep
about
it out of your
that?
mouth.
Hold your own
I'm
self
trying,
accountable.
Mr.
How about that?
Tlaib.
Thank you, Chairman. This is my third term on the Oversight Committee. We've been talking about illegal immigration and oversight the entire time. I remember we had a group of this committee that went down to the El Paso section of the border. This was back in February, March of 2021. And during that time period, we were at one of the holding centers, and there were these buses that were coming to the detention facility, and they were picking up 30 kids, 50 kids at random, walking out of the facility. And when I went over to question the bus driver that was transporting these kids, border agents told me, as a member of Congress, that you're not allowed to question the bus driver. And of course, people knowing me, I didn't take no for an answer, and I repeated the question. And I was told that this bus of children was leaving El Paso and going to San Diego. And so what was occurring under the Biden administration is that they were busing unaccompanied minors all across the United States for one reason and one reason only. And that was because they did not want the press to see the pictures of kids in cages. They did not want to see our borders being overrun. They wanted to disperse that problem all through the United States. That is the reckless history of illegal immigration under Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. Mayor Johnston of Denver, you lamented earlier that there were 10 to 11 buses coming per day to your city. Did you ever talk to Joe Biden about why this was happening to your community?
Thank you, Congressman. I both reached out to Governor Abbott from Texas. He didn't respond, and I did.
Why would you reach out to Governor Abbott of Texas when it is Joe Biden, the former commander-in-chief, that opened up our borders? Why didn't you talk to him?
Well, our buses directly were being sent from Governor Abbott in Texas, so that was why we reached out to say we're happy to collaborate on a coordinated entry system. We understand no one state or no one city should bear the entire brunt of this, but let's collaborate. But I did.
So I'm glad you said that, because that brings me to my next point. Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis, when they started moving illegal aliens out of their states who were bearing the brunt of what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were doing, and they've sent them to Denver, they sent them to Chicago, they sent them to New York, they sent them to Martha's Vineyard. The reason why they did that is because you four could hide behind the realities of illegal immigration on border towns all through our country and on cities and states who did not want to see illegal immigration, but did not have the political representation to go to the White House. And only when it showed up on your doorstep did you get upset. Mayor Johnston, coming back to you, how much did your city spend on illegal immigration? Do you have a round number?
Over the last couple of years on all newcomers, whatever their status was, it's around $79 million since 2022.
$79 million. Mayor Johnson, Chicago. How much has the city of Chicago spent on illegal immigration?
If you're referring to the 2022 up to 2024 of the buses coming from Texas, roughly the same percentage of the state of Texas, about 1% of our overall budget.
What is that? Because I don't have the city's budget in front of me. Numbers.
It's 1%, and if you want the actual calculation, we can make sure someone...
You're the mayor. You don't have the math in front of you?
It's 1% of the overall budget over the last 4 years.
That's why you're a failing mayor.
Which is
Mayor
the same
Adams,
number that
how
was
much did
sent
the
from us
city of New
from
York
the
actually
state
spend
of
on
Texas.
illegal immigration? Mayor Johnson, I already asked you. You don't have a hard number. And if you don't have a hard number, you're not running your city well. Mayor Adams, how much did the city of New York actually spend on illegal immigration?
$6.9 billion of taxpayers'
$6.9 billion of taxpayer money on a problem that was fostered on the American people. Mayor Wu, in the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering city
You don't
services,
ask
so
about
we
how
don't
much
have
money
that
the city of Boston has spent on illegal immigration?
We
Are
don't
you out of your
distinguish
mind?
between immigration status.
Do you
as
manage
part
your
of our
budget
city
or not,
policies.
Mayor Wu?
That is how we keep
Mayor
our city
Wu,
safe.
do you manage
we
your
have
budget or
the
not?
numbers to prove it. I manage my budget. I have a AAA bond rating dating back 10 years.
So to the city of Boston,
budget.
just understand that your mayor does not care how much of your resources she has spent on people who are not citizens
The city of Boston is
Boston.
sick of having
I'm reclaiming
people
my
outside
time.
Boston
Mr.
telling
Bear,
us what
Mr.
we
Bear, I have
need.
a question for you, because I understand Cato's perspective when it comes to illegal immigration. I understand that the Cato Institute for a long time has had a standard of actually having open immigration into the United States. Generally speaking, I don't want to get into specifics.
We support legal immigration. We want immigration to be legal.
Let me ask you this question, because one of the great libertarians of the modern era, Milton Friedman, famously said, you can either have open borders or a welfare state, but you have to choose. Mr. Beer, what do you choose?
Milton Friedman said he wanted to allow illegal immigration to continue. I disagree with Milton Friedman's position on that. We should have legal immigration and build a wall around the welfare state, not around the country. That's in the best interest of taxpayers.
And I would argue that under the current system where you have sanctuary cities popping up, it is not possible to build that wall. So America has to choose. Mr. Beer, you're done. America has to choose between securing our nation or protecting the taxpayer. I choose secure the nation. I yield.
Wow. Just wow. What we just witnessed in Congress is a textbook example of the stark difference between real leadership and political theater. On one side, you have a lawmaker who uses emotion, theatrics, and radical talking points. On the other, you have a professional, methodical leader armed with facts and accountability. And the contrast could not be clearer. Let's start with Rashida Tlaib. From a very second she steps on that House floor, it's performance over substance. She lectures about how anyone questioning Washington is committing slander or defamation. She claims to see happy families walking around monuments and says, I don't understand why everyone is upset. But here's the thing, she literally doesn't. She is living in a world where policies have no consequences, where the choices of lawmakers never translate into real-world effects, and where anyone who challenges her narrative is instantly a villain. The louder she screams, the more she believes she is winning. It's a performance, pure and simple. Same playbook we've seen from activist movements for years. Only now it's taxpayer-funded and amplified by the media. She isn't governing, She's performing for a camera, for her base, and for her political theater. Now, contrast that with Congressman Byron Donalds. He doesn't yell. He doesn't interrupt or posture. He doesn't care about optics or viral moments. He comes prepared with facts, numbers, and a calm, logical approach that cuts straight through the fantasy. While Tlaib rails about feelings, Donalds exposes the cold, hard reality of what these policies actually cost Americans. He talks about $6.9 billion in taxpayer money burned in New York City alone to fund sanctuary city programs. Programs Tlaib and her allies champion. That's real money, real families, real consequences. And then he asked the question every responsible lawmaker would. How much did you spend? Suddenly, Tlaib has no answer. Her ideology, built entirely on rhetoric and emotion, crumbles when confronted with accountability. You see the pattern. When you operate from fantasy and feelings, the truth is devastating. When policy is treated like a game and real consequences are ignored, someone has to step in to give a reality check. That's exactly what Byron Donalds does. He holds her accountable, exposes the cost of radical policies, and makes it clear to every viewer exactly what's at stake. But this isn't just about money. It's about responsibility, honesty, and governance. Tlaib's worldview assumes you can implement open-door sanctuary policies, spend billions, and still ignore the financial and societal fallout. Donalds demonstrates that these policies aren't abstract ideals. They're bills that American taxpayers pay for, and when ignored, they create financial black holes that affect everyone. This is the difference between ideology and reality. And it's not just theory. This is about patterns in behavior. Remember the protesters she once criticized, dragged out of Congress for screaming? Now Tlaib has a microphone, a platform, and a taxpayer-funded stage. The behavior is identical. Hysteria over facts, emotion over substance, outrage over reality. Nothing has changed except the audience and the power she wields. And while the media focuses on her dramatic speeches, Donalds quietly lays out the numbers, the logic, and the consequences. That contrast is staggering. This is the battle for America. On one side, you have lawmakers like Byron Donalds fighting for fiscal responsibility, border security, and accountability to the people. On the other, you have politicians who prioritize ideology, radical agendas, and performance over substance, no matter the cost to taxpayers. It's a clash between reality and fantasy, truth and theatrics, accountability and emotional spectacle. Ask yourself, who is actually serving the American people? Who is standing up for real policy outcomes rather than just talking points? Byron Donalds is exposing the truth, shining a light on waste, and demanding accountability. Tlaib, meanwhile, is shouting and performing, but avoiding consequences and reality at every turn. This isn't just one exchange. It's a microcosm of what's happening across Washington, D.C. Ideology dominates over governance, feelings over facts, and performance over results. What do you think? Do you believe Byron Donalds is doing the right thing by calling this out and holding radical lawmakers accountable? And do you think America is paying enough attention to the real costs of policies like sanctuary cities? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more breakdowns of these crucial battles in Congress, because this is exactly the kind of truth the media won't show you.